So I was pulling my weeds today, and God began to speak to me and show me something that I wanted to kind of put a video about and talk to y'all on. Because I don't know who really knows about lawn care. I'm not saying I'm an expert or anything like that. I'm not even close, actually. But if anyone knows about mowing the lawn or pulling weeds and doing things like that, they know that it takes work. And a lot of times people don't see that weeds actually are killing the grass. They grow so deep underground, they might look like little things up top, but anyone that has pulled weeds before knows that if you really get down in there, you see that that root is deeply rooted within inside of the ground. So it does look small at first, but then you start to see and realize that, man, it's really starting to take a lot of work out of what I really need to do. Something so small is actually causing me a lot of problems. And it's the same thing with sin. It's the same thing with thinking that a small bad habit or just doing something just one time, it eventually leads into something that you could call a weed. It's something that you can see as your soul, as whenever you abide in the Lord, that now your lawn, your property is looking maintained, is cut, it looks green, right? You might have some brown spots here and there, but you are continuing to just work on it each and every day. You're outside working on it. But then there's another thing of saying that someone that might not care too much about that, or they don't really see the problem or the reason to look after their lawn or look after themselves as much as someone else. So whenever you start to see that, you see that a lot of times the things that we think are very little or very not important, right? They start small, but then they become much bigger. And it's the same thing with weeds. It's the same thing with saying that lust and laziness and anger and pride and addictions, bad influences, it all starts off small. It all starts off as just doing it one time. And then what does it lead to? It leads to many other things down the line. And then as if you're pulling a weed out, you're trying to pull that bad habit out of you through discipline, or maybe you're just trying to do it strictly out of willpower. And you start to realize that you can't pull everything out. You can't stop everything from happening to you. A lot of times you have to really go and abide within Christ, really go and get that relationship with Christ. And then you'll feel the ability, then you'll feel the power of what God can really do. You can ask God to take away urges and certain things, and not saying it'll happen overnight, but with the right work, with the right discipline, with the right type of lifestyle, you will become better, right? As someone that used to smoke a lot, I was smoking weed every day. It started off as just doing it when I was young, and then it became a 7-8 year habit that I couldn't stop, that I felt like I had to eat, I had to do these things. And it began to wear on my life because it didn't always match with what I really wanted to do. So I just want to really explain to people that weeds are something that can be small and then start off a lot bigger. All you have to really do is just realize that. You have to see that first early on, and then you'll see how much work it is later, right, to stop a bad habit. So it's just better off to do what? To really just stop it in the beginning. So then you won't have to worry about and suffer later on, right? I feel like we've all been through these things. It doesn't really matter who you are. There are things that happen. There are things that are common in everybody's life, and it doesn't look very important. It doesn't look like it's very big, but you know, everyone is affected differently. And just so people know, this is also in the Word, right? This is also in our everyday lives. And like, what do we see? How do we see that? So in the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verses 30 and 34, right? We go into that and say that I went past the field of a sluggard, right? Sluggard is a way of a lazy man, in other words, right? Past the vineyard of someone who has no sense. Thorns had come up everywhere. The ground was covered with weeds, and the stone was wall was in ruins. I applied my heart to what I observed and learned a lesson from what I saw. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief and scarcely like an armed man. So, in other words, yes, it might start off as just this one time. Yes, it might just start off as it's not a big deal. Yes, it might start off of, well, I just need to get away. I just need to relax. I just need to do these things. And a little slumber, a little bit of laziness, a little bit of slipping up can ultimately neglect your soul, ultimately neglect the way of life that you had worked so hard for. And now you're allowing a weed. Now you're allowing a little bit of laziness, a little bit of sleep to eventually turn into a lot of sleep, because it's very demanding of life, man. Like, I don't think people, and it doesn't really mean, it doesn't matter what part of life that you're in, right? If you want to be good at something, it's very demanding. If you want to be great at something, it's very demanding. It's never easy. So when you want to get a house, when you want to have a nice car, when you want to get all this money, when you want to have it's going to come with responsibility. It's going to come with a lot more work into it. And that's normal. That should be something that's not frowned upon, right? But yes, it is frowned upon. And because people look like on social media that it becomes easy and all this stuff, man, let me tell you something. It doesn't really matter where you are in life. A weed can be planted, a seed can be sown, and in the word it also says you reap what you sow. So if you are even sowing weeds within inside of your spirit, then that's what's going to come out. But if you're sowing seeds of hard work, of discipline, of patience, of prosperity, of influence, of integrity, those type of things, that's what's gonna make the difference. That's what's going to have your lawn looking good every day. You're gonna be proud of what you worked for because you're out and doing it every day. You're out and trying to be better every day. You're out and trying to be green, right? You're trying to be a better person. You're trying to be someone of stature, someone that you always thought about and more. But it's through Christ, though. That's what it's through. It's through God, of the essence and the spirit and just the experience and the influence of God. That's what's going to get you to want to be better, get you to want to see the other side, get you to want to do those things and do it the right way. It's not easy, but I promise you it will be forgiving in the long run. But man, as always, I appreciate y'all for tapping in with me on this episode, bruh. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe on the channel if you liked it, man. Check out the Linktree in the description, in the bio, bruh. And as always, I'm going to catch y'all on the next one.